Hi everyone, welcome to History on Trial. This is Dr. Tracy McCarthy. We previously talked about the Amalekites, the Amaleki, and trying to get a better understanding of that identity and the historical location of that particular group. Now we have three pieces of historical evidence that we're going to look at that likely place the Amalekites, the Amaleki, in Africa. We're going to look at a geographic index from the 1700s. We're going to look at a map that we've looked at before from the 1500s, and then we're going to also look at some dynamics related to Dahomey and present-day Benin in relation to this particular historical group, the Amalekites, the Amaleki. And if this appears on anything other than Dr. Tracy McCarthy, it is stolen and unauthorized. Let's get started. Now, the first piece of interesting evidence related to the Amalekites is the gazetteers or the newsman's interpreter. This is a geographical index, and it's related to Africa, Asia, and America. It's a very interesting index, very informative. It's almost like a little mini encyclopedia, little dictionary. And you can see here, this is from the 1700s. And contained in that index, you can see from 1751, this notation related to Agag. And Agag was the king of the Amalekites, and so that would have been that kingdom. And so you see Agag, a kingdom with a city of the same name. And this is noted as being in Upper Ethiopia in Africa. And they were subject to the kingdom of the Abyssinians. So this is really interesting, this relationship apparently between the Amalekites and the Abyssinians that are noted right here in this discussion. And here you can see in Strong's Concordance the notation about Agag or Agag, and this is the king of Amalek, and the descendants of Amalek would be the Amaleki or the Amalekites. And you see another notation related to Agag or Agag, a title of an Amalekitish king. And here you see additional information related to the Amaleki or the Amalekites as being descendants of Amalek. And Amalek is the descendant of Esau. Again, you see another notation related to this, and this is letting you know that this is a patronym, so this is basically descended from the father. And here you see additional information. This is a descendant of Esau. Sometimes you'll see Edom, E-D-O-M, also his posterity. And so you see an additional notation down further that this is related to Amal. And down at the very bottom, you see a notation that this name not only goes along with a group of people, so you have the ancestor, then the group of people, this also goes along with the country name. And here's another interesting notation related to the name Amal. It means to labor and to toil. And this is yet another interesting notation from another source, and this one ties the name Agag or Agag with the A-G-A-G together with the word Gog, and that's G-O-G. And you can see down at the bottom where there is this sort of transliteration going on down there. And you can see it's also related to the Scythian people. It's unclear how this is all tied together because these would be two different patrilineal groups actually. And so, but this is an interesting notation and it is tied together. So maybe that's what that Amalekitish dynamic is about, because that might suggest that person would be like an Amalekite. Now we're going to look at this evidence in this map, and we've seen this map before, but we're going to look at it a little bit more closely. So this is the larger map so that you can see more of the area, and then we're going to get closer. Okay, so this brings it in a little closer. And what you can see also on here is the relationship between America and Africa. And you can see that the ocean on this map is noted as Ethiopian Ocean versus the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, you may not be able to completely see it here, but we're going to look at it a little bit more closely. This is pretty much sort of South Central Africa, and this is known as Ethiopia on this map. This is consistent with the notation in the geographic index. And so we're going to look a little closer, and you're going to see that Agage is noted in multiple places. And here's just a reminder, you can see Agage, again, a kingdom with a city of the same name in Upper Ethiopia in Africa, and then subject to the kingdom of the Abyssinians. And here, this is much closer. So I have it underlined for you so you can see Agage up at the top, then you see Agage below. That would be consistent with a kingdom, Agage, and a city with the same name under that. And then you also see Agage again, all caps, down at the bottom. And here you can get an even better look. And so you can see where it is and what's around it. And you can see the proximity of the different notations for Agage or Agag. And this is our final piece of evidence for our discussion, and this relates to these two kings. And so you have Agage or Agag as the king that's noted over the Amalekites, the Amalekite. And then you have the kingdom, so you can see those areas in Africa. And then you have also this Agajah. And Agajah was the king of Dahomey, if you remember our discussions about Dahomey. Now, Dahomey is the place where Benin is located now. And you see that Benin City is the capital of the Edo state. And so you have this thread running through with Edo or Edom. And then you have this thread running through with these monarchs with the same roots to the name. And so there is a high likelihood that the Amalekites or the Amaleki are definitely related to the people of Benin, the people who would have been under King Agajah, those individuals who would have been under the king Agage or Agag. And here you see additional information related to Agajah and Dahomey, and he was noted as the third ruler of the West African kingdom of Dahomey. Okay, we have looked at the three pieces of historical evidence that likely place the Amalekites / Amaleki in Africa, South Central Africa to be specific, during the 1700s, and likely on the west coast of Africa at the present time. And so the three pieces of evidence we've looked at have been the map from the 1500s, the geographic index from the 1700s, and information about Benin, Benin City, Dahomey, and also King Agajah. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care. See you soon.